Blake Lively, guys. The reason why we want to talk about it is because you and I had a nice chat about this. Remember, Pat?
Last year, fired Justin Baldoni after in his lawsuit it was alleged that Ryan Reynolds pressured the company to drop him.
So many text messages and things in it. Blake Lively's did as well, not quite as long.
Lively's team has now responded to Justin Baldoni's team responding to...
What started as a seemingly simple legal dispute has now exploded into a public relations nightmare for Blake Lively, with her team desperately attempting to regain control of the narrative. However, their latest strategy may have been their biggest misstep yet. Insider rumors are swirling, suggesting that Blake Lively's team might have fabricated a scandalous story to discredit Justin Baldoni and manipulate public perception in her favor. If true,
important text messages, and here they are over here. That later in the same conversation, the PR specialist said, damn, this is unfair because it is also not me. Everything now looks like it's me. Maybe not to you. And then the person who is the regular PR person for Baldoni says, no, it totally does look like Psy. So what the Baldoni side is saying is, you left certain text messages, Blake Lively, and by doing that, you made it look like we were saying that's why you have...
This bold move could have disastrous consequences, as it risks alienating the very audience they were hoping to win over. Could this be the turning point in a scandal that's only getting bigger by the day? This bold and calculated move only deepens the mystery surrounding how far Blake Lively is willing to go in her pursuit of victory in this high-stakes case.
To really scroll through and see all of Blake's messages to Ryan to see if they were in cahoots to destroy Justin. Is there a version where that could happen due to what Blake did?
My best guess, and I don't have facts to know this for certain. My best guess is that Jones took the phone of the people if they worked for her, arguing
Yes.
that was a work phone and work property. So if she was paying for the phone service, if she paid for the phone, it's predominantly used for work and she got it, that's probably legitimate employer action to go ahead and get that phone. Although it's arguable if she had resisted and said, no, screw you, I'm not going to get my phone, that would be a long court fight. And maybe she would get it and maybe she wouldn't, or maybe she would get part of it and maybe she would. But she didn't do that. She turned it over. I don't think that evidence is going to get included on that basis. But, going back to your original point of this sort of, how's this shaping up? Those things can be embarrassing.
The text to be between Blake and Taylor, if they are talking crap about Justin, that could be admissible.
100%. And those are the communications where I think you're going to see them go for the jugular, because those are not embarrassing only to them. They're going to be embarrassing to other people who care about their reputation, and that's where you're going to see some leaks that are going to come out of this recovery process that are going to be mind-blowing, because those are going to start to come to the fore.
That's interesting because they talked about to make sure there was protection to all the celebrities involved at the last hearing. Can they put that in place? Can they say, listen, Taylor Swift isn't involved and her text should be excluded? Or is that kind of possible since she's now a public figure? And if she's involved, can that stuff leak?
It's basically, first of all, it's basically impossible to protect Taylor Swift because now she's part of the allegation.
It's now increasingly apparent that this isn't just a legal battle. It's an all-out attempt to tarnish Justin Baldoni's reputation. Blake and her team seem to be floundering, with new revelations emerging in the form of text messages that point to possible defamation.
Lively, guys. The reason why we want to talk about it is because you and I had a nice chat about. Remember, Pat?
Yes.
Because apparently there was a judge that I'm sure that everybody here in the chat knows about this case, right, guys? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe Blake Lively is just as bad, if not worse, than Meghan Markle. Or they're both the same level. I believe Blake Lively is a big fat liar and she's the one who created everything. What do you think?
Yes, I personally believe something went amiss on set where she started falling for this guy, Justin. And when he did not advance her...
Legal experts are starting to question her strategy, and the public is growing more skeptical of the authenticity of her PR tactics. In a shocking twist, reports suggest that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have now requested additional invoices from Justin Baldoni further fueling the fire and casting even more doubt on the legitimacy of their claims.
Fired Justin Baldoni after in his lawsuit it was alleged Ryan Reynolds pressured the company to drop him. And just now, the head honcho at William Morris & Burr is gloating about getting rid of Justin Baldoni. And not only that, mocking him along the way. Ari Emanuel was a guest on a podcast. He said, I mean, it's an effed up bad situation what Baldoni, whatever his name is doing. What a petty man. I'm the one with the nicknames, okay? You should be a respectable professional. He said, I know Blake. I know Ryan. They're good people. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's clear also that Ari Emanuel did not see the former assistant director on her movie A Simple Favor alleging bullying. And happy that karma finally found its way to Blake Lively. It's clear that Ari Emanuel, who said in this chat that he's only known Blake Lively for a decade, isn't aware of the interview from 2009 where Penn Badgley's girlfriend said on the record to Glamour magazine that she poisoned the minds of Gossip Girl co-stars against Blake Lively.
If Blake Lively's case was truly as solid as she claims, why the need for more receipts? This raises serious doubts, pointing to the growing suspicion that her team is struggling to build a convincing case and is instead scrambling to shift the blame.
It is so detailed, has so many text messages and things in it. Blake Lively's did as well, not quite as long, but still they're huge. So we can't just cover everything in one night. I'm breaking it down into little bits so I can explain it and we can talk about what it means. So I want to start talking just for a second about what is defamation, because that's what Justin Baldoni says Blake Lively did. Blake Lively and all the other people being sued. So Blake, according to what Justin Baldoni is accusing her of, he's saying that she made false statements to the New York Times and others, that she knew these false statements and that she was, or at least that she had some serious.
Blake Lively's not the only celebrity facing a PR nightmare, but right now all eyes are on her. As new revelations emerge about her team's alleged attempts to manipulate the media, public trust is rapidly deteriorating. Could this be the final nail in the coffin for Lively's reputation?
Comes to Blake Lively and Baldoni and Colleen Hoover. Let's start with Colleen Hoover. So, she's back on Instagram again. Back again. Colleen's back. And so Colleen Hoover has rejoined Instagram, but she made sure to remove all of her photos with Blake Lively, with fake Lively, Snake Lively. What do we call it? We need to decide. We need to make a decision on what are we calling her, fake Lively or Snake Lively? We know he's crying Ryan Reynolds. That's fine. Crying Ryan. I'm cool with crying Ryan. But why can't I see Colleen on IG? Oh, did she block you, Lainey? Maybe she blocked you. She probably.
Or is there still a chance for her to recover? The drama is far from over, but the damage may already be done. The notion that this entire ordeal is being meticulously orchestrated is gaining traction, fueled by claims that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's agent has been boasting about getting Justin Baldoni fired.
Funny, charming Canadian man. And that's Blake. That's Blake. She is basically, to all intents and purposes, Serena Van Wilson, but less scandalous. Or brand always was. Like that, less scandalous. She has the aura of it girl around her, even though when you look at her actual career, it's not A-lister impressive, in my opinion. She's an A-list Hollywood star without the A-list Hollywood projects, particularly recent projects, to kind of put that up. But that's partly because of how iconic and powerful Gossip Girl was and her character Serena Van Wilson was. It was huge. So, what's the situation? Why has the it girl, fashionista, fun, I'm married to Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift and Gigi Hadid and my besties, her Givenchy sparkle boots, the kind of sparkle boots that only an A-list actress is able to afford, and her normal girl character, she's saying no, the Givenchy sparkle boots are a key part of the film.
If this is indeed a calculated move to isolate Baldoni, It paints a clear picture of Lively's team doing everything in their power to secure his downfall in this legal battle. But will this ruthless strategy actually work? At this point, it only serves to highlight just how desperate Lively's team has become.
And Justin Baldoni were the stars of the film, and Baldoni directed it. They didn't get along. Apparently, rumors of a feud began during their promotional tour in August 2024. There was speculation that Blake Lively had actually brought in her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to help take over creative control of the film, and Baldoni wasn't showing up at press events. And then Baldoni hired Johnny Depp's management and PR professional, a person named Melissa Nathan, to present him. Lively herself was doing some kind of strange things during her press tour. She was criticized for her tone-deaf approach to the movie, which is supposedly a fairly serious movie about abuse and all the rest. For example, she was doing a strange interview.
But for people who see this movie, who relate to the topics of this movie on a deeply personal level,
Adding fuel to the fire, it's also come to light that Justin Baldoni was dismissed last year following a lawsuit in which he accused Ryan Reynolds of pressuring the company to let him go. The plot thickens, but the big question remains: who will emerge victorious in the end?
It's important to say, okay, I believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, so I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the asshole in the room? Like, what is happening here? Show up on a set, I knew that they just wanted me to look cute and stand on a little pink sticker, I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say, but I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resent that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fulfill. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
Justin Baldoni's legal team has just dropped a bombshell: new text exchanges that suggest Blake Lively is guilty of slander. If these messages prove as damning as they appear, Lively's already fragile legal case could be on the brink of collapse. Will Baldoni finally come out on top?
Investigative journalists, when do you see them at 9:47 at night send an email on a Friday night before a holiday, right before Christmas? They send the email and it warns them that we're coming out with a story that we're going to publish by 12 Eastern the next day. So you basically right there have 14 hours to respond to this. If you're not looking at your email at 9:47 at night Eastern time, you might even pass that up until the morning, right? They say that they've reviewed thousands of pages of messages. Unbelievable. If they did, they would have come across the text messages, had emojis removed that the meaning of various emails, other emails which were taken out of context.
Despite her aggressive legal maneuvers, Blake Lively has already suffered another court loss, and things are only spiraling downhill. Every day seems to bring more setbacks, and her attempts to manage the situation behind the scenes are clearly failing. How much longer can she weather the storm before everything unravels?
I mean, when do you see the New York Times, a publication, these are supposed to be investigative journalists, when do you see at 9:47 at night send an email on a Friday night before a holiday, right before Christmas? They send the email and it warns them that we're coming out with a story that we're going to publish by 12 noon Eastern the next day. So you basically right there have 14 hours to respond to this. If you're not looking at your email at 9:47 at Eastern time, you might even pass that up until morning, right? They say that they've reviewed thousands of pages of text messages. Unbelievable. And if they did, they would have come across the text messages. We live in a digital age. You can't trust everything you see. Why couldn't the New York Times ask that question? I'm blaming the New York Times for participating with Blake Lively's publicists, engaging in this campaign where they actually were part of facilitating the complaint filed with the CRD, which is the Civil Rights Division, and knew the complaint was getting filed, encouraged them to file the complaint, had a copy of the complaint before it was filed, and once it was filed, they went with a story. We did respond, and we challenged actually the veracity of the story, and we challenged actually the veracity of the text messages, and specifically said that those messages were cherry-picked.
In this escalating legal drama, it's no longer just about reputation. It's about corporate ethics and legal obligations. Can Lively's team rise to the occasion? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end? Even high-profile media personalities, like Megyn Kelly, are now openly questioning whether Blake Lively's career can withstand this legal firestorm. With her public image in tatters, the question looms: can Lively ever rebuild her reputation? Or has the scandal left an indelible mark on her legacy? One thing is certain: her PR nightmare is quickly spiraling out of control.
And then she has her Watch What Happens Live photos of when she was on Watch What Happens Live with Emily Simpson. Colleen Hoover made that production company because she thought that she would get the rights back to It Ends With Us, to a movie with Blake. No, so there are a lot of these theories, right? So that's one of them, Rose is Wild. Don't think that she intentionally, Colleen Hoover, made her new production company in any into the drama or fallout of It Ends With Us. I think she saw that her books were becoming really popular, and so to protect herself, her money in her pocket rather than to sell the rights to somebody else, I think that that's why she created.
As Blake Lively's credibility continues to unravel, the stakes are getting higher. She could lose out on lucrative commercial sponsorships, future movie deals, and potentially face enormous legal fees. Will Blake Lively ultimately be held accountable for the chaos she's caused? Industry insiders are increasingly aware that her case is crumbling before our eyes. With key figures distancing themselves, a string of legal setbacks, and mounting doubts about the validity of her statements, it's clear she's in deeper trouble than anyone could have imagined. Can she somehow pull off a miraculous last-minute victory? Or is this the beginning of the end for her career? The clock is ticking, and the pressure is mounting. Her next move could determine everything.